So welcome everyone to what we think is podcast number 8. And I am absolutely delighted to be able to invite and speak to my friend Yvonne Lyon today, who we're going to be hearing lots from about her music, about the stuff that she's been involved in. But I guess from a personal point of view, just Yvonne's music has kind of like been the family soundtrack in this house for well over a decade, and probably almost 2 decades, perhaps. Yeah. Yes, I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, she's obviously too young for that. That is true. I must be misremembering. So I'm going to do much as we did on our chat the other day with Ant. I'm going to hand over to Rob, who's going to take us through some who are we questions. Yeah. Over to you, Rob.
Hello, Yvonne. It's lovely to meet you.
Hello, Rob. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for, after presumably a busy day, you've still managed to find time to talk to us, which is lovely. Just for the sake of the listener, can you, and me, can you please tell us who you are and what you do?
So, my name's Yvonne Lyon. I am a singer-songwriter. I still find it quite hard to say that, actually, after all this time. The imposter syndrome. I am a singer-songwriter. Oh, hello. And I have been writing songs since I was about, 6 or 7. But I'm also a trained music teacher and I love visual art. So anything creative, I absolutely love. Yeah.
Thank you. Chris did say that you've taken up painting. Now, is that true or is it something you've always done?
I have. Well, I've given more time to it. That's really been the difference. And it was during COVID. I found this fantastic online course called Find Your Joy by Louise Fletcher, and she's an abstract artist. So I love throwing paint at things and just getting lost in big, broad brushstrokes of things. So yeah, I gave more time to it, and I've been following that a little bit more. So yeah, it's interesting, creative parallels with songwriting, and it's lovely to be able to go from one discipline to the other and allow each one to feed into the other, which is great. So yeah, anything creative I love.
And is music and creativity like a full-time job for you?
Yeah, well, it kind of permeates everything I do, really. Right. And I am, so so whether it is teaching, because even teaching, I find I'm encouraging a lot of my pupils to create as well, not just to learn and regurgitate music, but to actually, inhabit the music and enjoy it and create and improvise. So whether it's teaching or songwriting workshops or performing or recording, all the different aspects of the creativity, just seems to be, has become a life journey, I suppose.
When you're teaching someone, what do you teach? Piano? Or
piano.
Is it music? Piano. Okay, so you're teaching all age groups, or? Yeah,
all age groups. And it's funny because my dad, I was reminded of this recently, my dad said, just get your teaching diploma and that will really, that'll be a good fallback for anything, anything else that you're doing in your life. And it has been one of the best bits of advice to have that. And I mean, I've been teaching since I was 16. I remember, I had a few jobs. I had my paper round. And I washed cars for a while in my local village, and I did a bit of cleaning, and then I started teaching piano, and I loved it. So I've been teaching since I was about 16. Yeah.
Oh my word!
So that's a long time ago.
Well, be that as it may. So music has obviously been a huge part of your life forever.
Pretty much forever, yeah. I can't imagine my life without it. there was a piano in our house. My mum and dad sang together. Yeah, growing up in church, you were just surrounded by music all the time. Yeah, so, and I was sent to piano lessons when I was about 6 or 7 because I was always sitting at the piano making up tunes. That was my safe
Okay.
place. I would just you just get lost, and yeah, I was making up tunes before I knew what was right and wrong. Before I knew what was major or minor, or what I was supposed to be playing. Just getting
Okay.
lost in things, which was great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, at what point did you realise, or did you, I don't know, acknowledge that actually you wanted to, you were, you weren't just able to play the piano, for example, and you'd done lessons and you could, regurgitate a tune or something, whatever, What point did it realise that you actually had a talent, a gift that you could, I don't know, make your own music up?
Well, I don't know if I had a moment. I think I've just always done it, so it's always been there. I think in terms of actually pursuing any sort of songwriting, it wasn't until I picked up the guitar, and that was like the rebellious instrument, because if I sat and played the guitar, then I wasn't sitting practicing my piano. But I taught myself, and my
Oh,
uncle taught me a few chords, and that was me. I was away on the guitar, and I thought, actually, I love the guitar, and I love the intimacy of the guitar, and songs became more of a kind of a vehicle for me, properly in
okay.
life, probably as a teenager, yeah, 13, 14, beginning to find some self-expression. And so I suppose that was when I thought, oh, there's something in this actually, in terms of me finding, I suppose, yeah, now you would call it therapy, and supporting my own mental health back then when I was just becoming a
Yeah,
teenager. So from
yeah.
then, I never ever thought I would be a singer-songwriter. It just wasn't. I went to kind of normal school where it was you do 3 sciences and you think about going to
Yeah.
become, I don't know, go into medicine. What a joke. Definitely don't have the brains for that. But it was medicine or law, or, these kind of worthwhile pursuits. The
Okay.
arts were never really considered a viable option. What a horrible word. Viable kind of,
What? By whom?
certainly by my school,
Okay.
and you were encouraged. You were always encouraged to be creative, but as a hobby, as a hobby.
As a
Get a proper
hobby, I
job. Get a
understand
proper
that.
job. So, yeah, I've still got that
Okay.
wee voice in my head. When are you going to get a proper job?
Okay, you've just answered the question I didn't
Okay.
ask then. So you've not had what the layperson might call a proper job.
So I trained as a music teacher, and I
Okay,
taught for
that's a
three
proper
years.
job.
Yeah, I taught in secondary school,
That's
secondary music for 3 years,
okay.
and I only lasted three
That then.
years. Yeah.
Okay. When did you realise that though you had? When did it become some music become something where? How did you know you had a story to tell? I guess
Well,
that's
that's
what
a good
I'm trying to
question.
get to. How did you?
Yeah, I think again quite early on, as a teenager, that sense of exploring life, meaning. I've always been fairly deep as a person, asking questions about life, asking why all the time. So songwriting and music was definitely a way to explore that. Um, but I suppose it wasn't until I went to uni, and I was also in a band. So I was in a band just before that, actually, and then during university. So there were more avenues to explore with it. I had opportunities to actually see if there was anything in it. Yeah. So, but it wasn't until I suppose I met my husband that we became quite serious about, could this be our lives? Could
Okay.
this be something that we do with our lives? So, and he's a
Yeah.
songwriter, so it's great to be able to be with another songwriter who understands that, and Yeah, so we've been on a bit of a journey for 21 years. I know.
Do you write songs together, or?
We have, yep. We have quite in the past, coming at it from quite different viewpoints, but both, yeah, we're actually pretty good at writing silly songs.
Silly
Yeah.
songs.
If you need a kind of birthday silly song, yeah, we're good at coming up with alternate lyrics to, classic songs.
Okay. Do you remember your first song that you wrote and actually recorded?
Ooh, ooh, no. I've got such a bad memory.
That's fair enough.
Such a bad memory. I think. Ooh, well, I had a very, very good friend who I was in the band with, Steve Knott, and he had all sorts of digital recording equipment and everything. He was way ahead of his time. DAT recorders and things like that, DAT tapes and
Right.
proper microphones and things. So he actually recorded my earliest songs. I think one of them was maybe based on a psalm. I think it was a psalm that I wrote. I took and I made some piano music to it or something. Yeah, I think that was maybe it. That was the first song. I was going to try and play it because I'm actually sitting at the piano, but I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could remember it.
Do you think you can remember it then? Can you put your piano on silent and just... You're looking at it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You are. You're looking at the keyboard going...
My soul finds rest in God alone. I think that was it. I don't know what psalm that is. There you go.
Wow.
Well done, you.
Do you even get the next line? My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. There you go. That was it. I hope that wasn't too
Very
loud.
lovely.
That's great. Okay, so, what was I going to ask you next? I was going to ask, you've got a new album coming out.
I do.
Hear. Do you want to? I mean, this is not something like album number.
I don't know.
11?
I don't do numbers. It's something
Yes, you
like
do.
that. Yeah, it's something like 11.
Are you being modest?
No, I'm not. I have a terrible memory and I don't do numbers. So this, I don't know what it is, maybe 11. But this is an exciting project. Yeah, this is right up to date because it's a project called Things Found in Books. And I think it was 2017, remember that. And I was at Culzean Castle, which is a lovely castle in Ayrshire, and they've got a great second-hand bookshop. So I was in there, and they've got this notice board where when they get their books in, they take the books and they take out all the different bits and bobs that are in there, like photographs and receipts and letters and things that they might find, and they put them up on this notice board, and it just said things found in books. And I thought, I love this. So I took loads and loads of photographs of it and squirreled it away in my kind of book of ideas for an album. And then during COVID, I thought, I'd really like to make a start on this. And so I took it to Boo Hewerdine. He was the person I had in mind, who is, I would say, is one of the UK's best songwriters around at the moment. And so he said yes, and we've been working on it for about 4.5 years, something like that. Seems to be the project that never finishes, but we're on the home straight, and we're hoping it's going to be ready soon. Very soon. So yeah, we wrote remotely, and we took photographs, we took ideas. So perhaps there was a postcard, and we said, right, okay, you take that one and run with it, see where you go with it, and I'll take that little snippet of a post-it note that someone's written, and I'll write about that. And together, it was a lovely organic way to write, even although it was remote. So. And then we got together towards the end of the project to be in the same room and then record things together. So really, really pleased with it. Yeah.
Did the words come first or the music?
A real mixture with this. I can't speak for Boo. I get the impression that he does lock into the lyric quite quickly. and finds a rhythm within the words and the lyrics that he's writing. But for me, it's always a real mixture. Sometimes it'll be the instrument I'm sitting at. There's always a kind of natural rhythm to something, whether it's a melody line I've got or a lyrical line. And I just kind of let it go and see where it takes me. Yeah, so different every time.
How do melodies come to you?
Absolutely no idea.
How did you? Well, I'm neither a musician nor especially creative. So it's like last week I was asking Ant Clifford from Lofter the same kind of question, which is where does the music come from, and why do you feel the need, if there is a need, to publish it?
Oh, that's quite a lot. Yeah. Okay. So.
Sorry, I don't mean. I don't understand. You see, so
I don't feel a need to publish. Actually, I don't feel a need to publish. We've found ourselves now in, I suppose, a framework in society or whatever where that's what we do. We publish in order to get your music out there. You put it in a platform, whatever that platform is, in order for other people to hear it. So. It's never been a need for me to publish. The need for me, I think, is connection. And I think that is true of most artists. I think there's a connection that happens when you make yourself vulnerable and share what has, I suppose, kind of been channeled through you or whatever. I don't know how you would describe it. I mean, in terms of where melodies come from, I suppose that's like saying where does the wind come from? But if it's in you, and if it's just, I mean, I was brought up with melodies all the time. I was always listening to melodies, listening to radio. The radio was on all the time, so I was always absorbing melodies and harmony. So that's just like, that's just like breathing for me. But I think connection is a big thing. I could just write these songs and they would be therapeutic for me. But the magical thing that I've found in 20 odd years of doing this is that if you are brave enough to share, then you find that, it makes a connection with somebody else, and there's a magic that happens in that moment. And for me, there's two things I love. There's the spark of creativity when you feel you've got a new song about to kind of unfold. I love that spark, and then I love that spark that happens when there's just, between the listener and the creator. It's it's great.
That might be a good opportunity to listen to one of your songs. You suggested a couple of tunes that we could add to the podcast. I don't know if we're going to. Are you going to do it like you did last time?
I certainly hope so. Should my technical skills allow me so to do.
So, one of the songs that you suggested is "Insignificant as Stars." We'll play it after, but can you tell us a bit about it and what it means?
So Insignificant as Stars is on my Growing Wild album, and I wrote that just before COVID. And I had been thinking a lot about this sense of, in the one moment we are incredibly special and unique as human beings, but in another sense we are just another tiny speck on this, in the midst of this huge cosmos. And I was trying to find a way of expressing that. So it's funny, it's a phrase that I wrestled with quite a lot, and I passed it by a few people, and I got different thoughts from people. What do you mean by that, insignificant as stars? But it's that sense of, the stars are just myriad and go on and on and on, and there's a gazillion billion of them. Not good with numbers, don't even know if that is a number. And yet each one unique, and who knows? It's kind of mind blowing. So it's that I was trying to capture that. Sense. I don't know if I've done it, but you can be the judge of that.
it's a beautiful song which has actually a really beautiful video that goes with it as well. So if I'm really clever and people are watching this feed via the visual medium as well as the oral medium, you may be able to see that. Okay, well, we'll listen to Insignificant as Stars. So yeah, so that's what an absolutely beautiful song. Which yeah. So I suppose just before we heard that song, Yvonne, I guess you were talking about that connection that happens when music bridges into something else. And I suppose the word that I would use to describe those kind of transcendent moments that music is so good at delivering to us is spirituality. And so I guess if we can, let's talk a little bit about how that spirituality intersects with music in your life. I know that you began, or you mentioned already, beginning from a church position. Can you tell us a little bit about how music and church and all those things kind of played out in your earlier life?
It was a huge part of my life. And yeah, fused together very much so. The idea of spirituality was, I suppose, you would go to this place and you would enter into this space where music would be a huge part of it. And so I can never escape that, and that connection with those associations with music. So gospel, I suppose what you would call it, it would have been gospel music at the very beginning. It would have been, I suppose, white gospel music, call it that, with its origins in black gospel music. A lot of these. It's funny, my mum and dad used to sing at the Mission Hall in Inverclyde in Greenock, and it was very much a sort of gospel songs. And, it's not until you start tracing them back that you realise, well, those were spirituals. They were from, the deep south of America. They were from African slave songs originally. That's where they came from. They came from a place of deep suffering and a place of pain, but this sense of hope and believing in something and in the kingdom come and in this promise, the promised land. So, very much brought up in that. So that's where I was sort of rooted.
You went on to make music, kind of, I guess, that would be termed Christian music for a while, did you not? I mean, I know you're involved in Vineyard and leading worship and various other aspects of that.
Yeah, so in the band that I referred to, that was in 2000, just before the year 2000, and it was a project called Hope 2000. My friend Steve, who has now passed, he very much wanted to bring creativity to the church, and I suppose back then it was as a tool. You saw it as a tool for exploring what it means to be spiritual, what it means to be Christian, I suppose, at that time. And so that was really interesting to go on that journey. So I would have said at that time we were involved in creating something that was too Christian for the church. I struggle with these terms now, but too Christian for the world, if you like, and too secular for the church. Okay. Those kind of terms back then. Nobody really knew what to do with us. I mean, we were writing really, really interesting stuff that was kind of, I think, quite ahead of its time. But we really suffered for that because nobody knew what to do with us or where should we play. Churches kind of just looked at us and thought, I'm not sure about this. So that was an interesting journey to go on. And then David, my husband, writes songs for the church. So that's very much where he feels connected and how he expresses his own faith as well. So there's a real, we straddle kind of different worlds, if you like. For me, it's all part of the same thing. But I think as my journey has gone on, I find it harder and harder maybe to use some of the language that I was much more comfortable with back then. So I suppose that's a way to describe it. Yeah.
One question I asked Ant, who's Ant Clifford, who we spoke to recently, was he's also still regard himself as a worship leader, still actively involved in leading worship in church. And I kind of asked him, what's the difference between that music and the music that you make for yourself? I mean, it's not an easy thing to chart the boundaries of those things, I guess. But I mean, did you take a deliberate decision to move away from that kind of music to make something different?
No, I felt a very strong, I don't know what you would call it, feeling, right back at the very beginning that my music was not meant to be, for want of a better expression, worship music. That it wasn't. That's not what it was about. I didn't have the, I suppose, even the vocabulary for that back then. I just knew it didn't exist. I actually was offered a kind of deal at one point, very loosely, by, I suppose, what you call a CCM label, and I said no because it didn't feel right.
Wow.
It wasn't.
Right, okay.
I don't know if it would
I
have
didn't
ever.
know that. Wow.
No, I don't know if it would have ever happened. It was a loose, we're having a listen to this and we're thinking, we're humming and hawing, but it didn't feel right. So I've felt very strongly that that's not where my music belongs. I remember standing, it sounds a bit, I don't know. I remember standing on a bridge out in the countryside and thinking, this is where I belong, in the middle, on this bridge somewhere. And I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's the case still. I'm not sure. It doesn't concern me anymore.
No.
I am now really happy with. I suppose when you talked about when did you first realise you had a story to tell? I think that's what's been my drive from the very beginning. It's about telling stories. I've never felt comfortable with the platitudes and with the certainties and with the Jesus is the answer, what's the question type thing. I've just always been very. I'm interested in the questions. I'm interested in real life, and I'm not saying that other things are not real, but that I think that's where I've stayed very much in my own expression of creativity, and I think to me that is worship, because if you are fully being who you are meant to be, whether that's in creativity or any other part of life, then that's it. But,
wow. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, I suppose it might be a good point just to ask you. You talked about creativity generally in terms of art and painting, and I know that you also write poetry, which is something else that we share. So, yes, you do. Yes, you do. So yeah, I guess. Well, your music itself is poetry. I mean, Rob was asking me earlier, about that business about how poetry becomes music, assuming that it arrives at that place with the before the actual tune kind of thing. And I was saying, well, I could never do that. I think some people just hear the rhythm in a line, and that appears magically with a tune as well. But I guess for me, there's something about the way that art, music, and all of the other forms of art allow us to make connection in the way that you're describing, and allow us to make a spiritual journey. And you're one of the people that I see living that truth about deliberately pursuing, a spiritual journey through the arts. I mean, is that a fair summation of what you're trying to do? Do you see yourself as doing that deliberately? Is it just kind of what's happened accidentally?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's really interesting, again, because you're obviously a great friend. And it's interesting when you hear these things being said back to you, because there's not a deliberate act there. It is just, I can't help myself. I think there is a danger in the arts that it can become full of ego and full self-expression, where that's all there is. And I think there's a sense in which sometimes connection can be lost if we stop there, if we just stop at that moment of here's my splurge, this is me, who knows? There's lots of different fine lines in there as well, but I think for me personally, it's just always been fused together. That particularly that the difficulty with suffering and difficulty with pain, and my brother used to say to me, "Can you not write a happy song?" So I've written lots of happy songs, but yeah, ultimately, when I am in pain, or if I'm suffering, or if there's sadness, that it's to the piano that I go, and never more so in the last few years. Sometimes when I don't even know what to say or think or feel, I just sit and improvise at the piano now, and more than ever. And the same now with the visual art. I'm finding that I think it's the act of making marks, and it's the same with poetry. It's the same with, as soon as you put that mark on the page and you start scrolling, the piano is very much like that. The piano is making marks with your fingers. Dance is the same. My sister-in-law's a dancer, my niece as well, and I watch them and I think, yeah, that's what they're doing. They're making marks with their feet, and they're in the air and everything. It's just this act of moving and keep on moving. Who was it that said, you just got to keep on moving? I can't remember who it was, but it is. It's about...
It's probably a song.
I don't know. So, yeah, I'm probably getting a bit airy-fairy now, but I think... What was the question?
No, can I just say, Yvonne, you're not getting airy-fairy at all. I think you're actually getting to the heart of what creativity is about.
Yeah.
And the act of, when the courage in some ways of actually putting down, like you say, making a mark, however that mark is, whether it's music or art or, as in visual art or writing or whatever. It's a courageous act to put your heart out there, even if it's raw.
You're also describing what the heart of this Proust project is all about. But we're interested in trying to find ways of allowing people's stories to be heard, or people's marks to be seen. That's entirely what it's about. And I guess you talked about that therapeutic nature of lots of the things that we do, and sometimes that is an end in itself, isn't it? But often that if those things connect with other people's woundedness and other people's pain and it allows them somehow to go deeper into that experience, to kind of see it from a different perspective.
And I've seen that in your poetry, there's no doubt, Chris. And
that's very nice of you to say so.
Well, most recently when we collaborated as well, we brought different aspects together, and to that was interesting because we were providing a space, weren't we? Or we were hoping that it would be a space where people could reflect on what they've been through and do that within the safe space of words and of music. And you do it brilliantly.
Wow!
And
it was a lovely thing to be part of, as you know.
It really is, and a collaboration is a wonderful thing, and I think that's what helps to keep us going. I don't think we can do this on our own. It's like anything else, and I think the artist is in danger of becoming that reclusive introvert. Well, maybe not. I can be quite an introvert. There's a danger in which you can become quite solitary in that. But I think there's something really important about staying connected and collaborating with other people. Again, there's a magic, there's an alchemy that happens that wouldn't have happened unless you just decided to let somebody else in.
Absolutely.
So,
well, listen, we've got a couple of more questions that we want to ask you quickly about just the music business itself and how we provide support and what that support might look like. But before we do that, it would be lovely to hear another song. So what have you got for us?
I think I've got Winterground, is that right? Winterground is the other.
That is the one you mentioned, yeah.
Well, this is a good segue because this is a collaboration with a lovely singer-songwriter called Julie Lee, she's based in Nashville, and Dan Wheeler, who's an English musician who now works out in Nashville. Great friends. I knew them before we went to Nashville, and that was a lovely collaborative moment, this song. So
Brilliant. Okay, well, let's listen to Winterground.
Weaving silver threads of silent song back and forth across the sky, gently whispering the journey's long, undercover fly by. harvest time, leaving northern fields before the snow in October's evening light, following the four winds, longing to lie down, carry you upon your wings to your winter ground, to your winter ground, answering your restless heart to feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, to find the light beyond the dark and your way back home again. By some hidden compass, by the stars, deep inside you understand, flying low as if by one heart, you draw softly into land, following the four winds, longing to lie down, carry me upon your wings to your winter ground, to your winter ground, to your winter ground, to your winter ground.
So winter ground, yeah. I always struggle through the winters, and actually the collaboration that Yvonne talked about was very significant in coming out of a particularly winter part of my life. So and you played that song as part of that collaboration. So it's another song that's very special to me. So yeah, the other thing we wanted to talk a little bit about, if we can, is that obviously part of the Proust discussion is how can we support grassroots artists who are making art that perhaps wouldn't be noticed, wouldn't be heard in other ways. How can we showcase that? How can we encourage it? How can we network it? These are the questions we're exploring, and maybe we can't. Maybe this is beyond our current capabilities, but we have this inkling that a community of like-minded artists can actually make a real difference to other artists in that same discipline, and it's just about trying to provide the mechanisms for that to happen. So you were talking earlier about potentially being given a contract by a Christian music label. Tell us a little bit more about, because you somehow have made a living through making music, and I know that hasn't always been easy, but you've done it. You're actually living proof that it is possible. So tell us a little bit about what that has been like in the last period, and I know it's changed hugely in that same period as well. So yeah.
Well, I think there's no doubt that, again, it's been a team effort from David and I. You know, as a married couple, being able to navigate it, there's no doubt that that's made a huge difference to us. And we've taken decisions based on our creativity, and we've made a life a certain way. Doing that on your own must just be so much harder, and is so much harder, and I know it is. So it's funny though, we've always, and you make sacrifices and you make particular decisions, you know, we've invested a lot of our money, a lot of our time. You know, we've kept down the day jobs. You know, a lot of people, that was an interesting thing going to Nashville, because you think, oh, you know, you go there and you think, oh, we should be just becoming full-time musicians, whatever that means, full-time musicians. And actually you go over there and there's incredible musicians and writers, incredible writers, and they are holding down the day jobs. They're doing the Ubers, they're doing, you know, they're playing in bars at night, that kind of thing, to just to be able to do what they do and what they love. And I think there's no harm in that, and there's no shame in that. I think we've got this thing about we have to be the tortured artist that you know, has no money and has no, you know, resources. I think you've just got to be wise with what we've been very lucky in that we were, you know, we were encouraged by both our families and helped. But we've worked incredibly hard ourselves, and we've made sacrifices, and we've decided this is what we've wanted to do. And I think that's the case for a lot of people who've been doing it for 20 years. And you do it because you just love it, and because you can't really see how your life would be in any other way.
Right.
So in terms of encouraging other people, it's all to do, I think it's all relational. Every step of the way for us has been relational with people. There's been people who've come into our lives and they've been encouraging, or they've given us a little step along the way, or they've given us an opportunity. They've believed in us. It's almost like it's like having what's the word, champions. There's every so often there's been people who've come along who've been like champions, and that's not just finances. It's been encouragement. It's been belief. It's been just getting alongside you. But we have had amazing, you know, instances as well where people have said, right, you know, we want to help you with this. So there you go. And we've never gone looking for that. That's come. So I think if it's in you, you're going to do it anyway. And I think in terms of what you're talking about, being a community that supports other people, I think those people will come to you, or those people will come into your life, and you'll go, actually, we need to support this person, or we really feel we want to pass on what we've learned to that person. I think it happens like that. So
21 years ago, I suppose the music business was pretty much about CD sales and touring and getting a manager who would kind of bring some of those things into being.
Yeah.
My impression from speaking to you and to other people like Michelle Willis and other people is that that's not what the music world is like anymore. It's totally social media driven now, and it's about kind of putting your life out there in a way that maybe previously would not have been the case. Has that been your experience too?
Very much so. I think we enjoyed the tail end of that, of the kind of having an agent to help us get gigs, and we were often doing support slots for other people, opening up for amazing people, and you're always kind of thinking, oh, this is going to lead on to this, going to lead on to that. It doesn't. It goes like this, you know. I mean, very early on, we had back in the day when radio was really important.
Because this is a podcast medium, Michelle was doing a hand a little bit like a roller coaster.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, roller coaster, up and down, up and down, up and down. Sorry, I'm forgetting. Yes, very early on, we got the opportunity to play for Bob Harris on Radio 2. BBC Radio 2, and we thought, you know, this is it. And it was an amazing moment. It was fantastic. And then it's just back to playing to 20 people in the Green Note in Camden, or, you know, and nothing coming throughout the year. So it is very much like that. And it's not a case of, I think we lived in that for a little bit, where we thought, it's going to lead to something else, going to lead to something else. That can happen. And you could look at what we've done and go, well, I've not really been that successful. But you could look at it from a totally different perspective. And I know myself, I look at it and go, wow, I can't believe the things we've been able to do, the things I've been able to enjoy creatively. So now it is harder. It's harder and harder. But I think you've got to just see it as a way of, okay, how do we embrace the good things about these new platforms, these new ways of making music, or how do you push back at certain things? I don't like to give all of myself away, and I find it exhausting. Often, I think it's to do with your personality. If you're an extrovert, you love this kind of stuff. If you're an introvert, and if you're, you love your solitude and you love your time, spending half your life on the computer putting stories out about what you're up to is just not. It drains the living daylights out of you. So I think you've got to navigate it, and you've got to find ways. And I suppose that's another aspect of being creative. It's like, oh, okay, how do we do this, and how do we do it in a healthy way? And again, COVID really made us think twice about everything. Why are we up and down the M6 playing to 20 people or whatever? Just because it's a good opportunity. Let's do what we want to do. Let's play at our local community garden or art fair that's coming up or whatever, and connect with people on your doorstep, and keep the day job, keep enjoying that as well, and make that all part of the thing. Income streams, having different income streams is, from a practical point of view, that's a really good piece of advice, I think, for people if you're in the creative industries. It doesn't need to just be one thing. I know some people find that difficult as well. And if that's you, then you do the one thing, and you're tortured for your art and you have to do it. But most people will have teaching, they'll have writing, they'll have recording, they'll have performing. You'll have different income streams, different ways of making it work. And that's pretty much how we've made it work. And I don't have a business head at all. So again, it's all down to David and his wizardry with... He's got that kind of brain that can be both administrative and creative at the same time. So everyone needs a DL, like David Lyon. Yeah. Needs a DL.
We need to get him on the podcast as well, Rob, I think.
Yeah, he would have a couple of
that's right.
Sounds like it.
Okay, Yvonne, that has been fantastic. Rob, anything else to ask that we...
No, it's been lovely. Right. Thank you. I'm sure we could natter.
We absolutely could, but we've already put Yvonne through the pain of trying to kind of make her technology connect with our technology for...
No, I'm really glad we pushed through and did it. I'm glad.
Yeah, so are we. Just one more thing then. Obviously, people can connect with your music in lots of different ways, through your website, through Bandcamp, which is obviously the way that most musicians these days would prefer, rather than the dreaded Spotify, even though this podcast, I'm afraid, is going out on Spotify, because it's the only way. Yeah, I always have to feel like I have to say that as in a massive apology to any musician. But it's the platform that was available to us, so that's what it is. So and they're also to watch out for the new album, which will be presumably released soon. Have you got dates for that?
August, September, maybe.
Okay, and are you touring?
Yeah, we've got a gig in Leeds. I'm not going to remember the date. Hold on a second. It's in Leeds in August, and we're hoping the album will be ready for then, at least as a digital download. But let's see when that gig is. I will just tell you. One moment, please. It is the 30th of August, and it's Chapel Allerton Arts in Leeds. The lovely Alan Gibson is putting us on. So, yeah, that'll be good.
Excellent. I look forward to hearing those songs again. For some new Goan soundtracks from Yvonne as well. Okay, thank you so much. We will close it here and go and listen to Yvonne's music.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.